The Devil's Ledger in the decaying industrial sprawl of Rust Hollow, Ohio, where rusted factories loomed like ghosts and the Cuyahoga River ran thick with silt, lived Marcus and Elena Vaughan. Marcus, 49, was a grizzled truck driver hauling freight across state lines. Elena, 46, was a bookkeeper for a failing auto parts shop, her sharp mind dulled by years of routine. They'd been married 25 years, their life a grind of bills and silence. No kids, just a shotgun shack on the edge of town and a marriage fraying at the seams. But beneath their bleak existence, a ledger of sin was being written, one that would end in blood. Prologue. The ledger's market began with a book. One rainy September night, Marcus came home to find Elena hunched over the kitchen table, scribbling in a leather-bound ledger. Her hands shook, ink smudging the pages. He glimpsed names, dates, dollar amounts, thousands, before she slammed it shut. "Work stuff," she snapped, shoving it into a drawer. But her eyes were wild, and her sleeve had a dark stain, rust red like dried blood. The next morning, Marcus found a torn page in the trash. 9/12, drop complete, $15 K, cleanup required. Not her handwriting, his skin crawled. Elena was in something deep and deadly. Chapter 1. The nighttime haul a week later, Elena said she was meeting a client to balance their books. She left at 8 p.m., her purse clutched tight. Marcus waited, unease gnawing. By 1 a.m. she wasn't back. He tracked her phone off, but last pinged near the old steel mill, a derelict maze where junkies and dealers roamed. He grabbed his flashlight and drove. The mill's lot was dark, save for Elena's rusted Chevy parked by a loading dock. Through broken windows, he saw her with a man, lanky, with a shaved head and tattoos snaking up his neck. Blood pooled on the concrete beside a tarp-wrapped shape. Elena handed him a bag. He gave her a thick envelope. Marcus's breath caught. They weren't lovers. They were conspirators. Chapter 2. The tattooed reaper Marcus kept quiet, digging instead. He asked his dispatcher Tony, a grizzled ex-biker, about a tattooed guy at the mill. Tony frowned. "That's Vince Reaper Malone. Enforcer for the Rust crew, meth guns, you name it. Word is, he's got a partner who keeps the books." Marcus hit the county jail records. Vince, 48, had a dozen arrests. Assault, trafficking, manslaughter. Always walked free. No tie to Elena, but Tony whispered, "He's got a woman on the payroll." Quiet type. Marcus searched her car. Under the seat, a Glock with the serial scratched off and a photo of Elena and Vince, dated 95, arms around each other at a bar. On the back, partners forever. Marcus's world tilted. She'd hidden this for decades. Chapter 3. The Crimson Wreckers grew relentless. Elena started locking the ledger in a safe, taking hushed calls in the yard, coming home with bruised wrists. One night, while she showered, he cracked the safe combo was their anniversary, a bitter irony. Inside, $30,000 in bloody cash, a list of drops, $200 K total, and names half crossed out in red. One note read, LK, handled, loose ends next. A burner phone held text from V. Friday, Mill, bring it all. He called his old army pal Jake, a pie with a taste for danger. Jake rolled in, eyes hard. "That's a hit list," he said, scanning the ledger. Elena's not just cooking books, she's cleaning bodies. Chapter 4. The Silent Partner. Jake tailed Elena that Friday. She didn't go to the shop, but met Vince at the mill. A third figure emerged, short, wiry, with a limp and a hooded face. Jake snapped photos, Vince and the limper dragging a body, a man gutted while Elena counted cash. "That's Eddie Klein," Jake said. "Vince's shadow does the wet work. Elena's the brain." Jake bugged her car. The next tape was a knife to Marcus's chest, Vince's rasp. Eddie's antsy once more. "We need 50K by next week." Elena, cold. Marcus is sniffing around. "If he talks, we're done." Eddie chuckled. "I'll gut him like the last one." Marcus gripped his chair. His wife had marked him for death. Chapter 5. The mill's graveyard. Marcus and Jake scouted the mill, finding a basement trapdoor. A makeshift morgue. 5 bodies, decayed, wrapped in plastic. Cash crates totaled $150,000. A wall map marked drop sites across Ohio. Photos showed Elena at kills, knife in hand, face blank. A logbook listed victims. LK snitch, 9/12, $15 K. Marcus gagged. Elena wasn't trapped. She was a killer. He remembered her brother, dead in a bar fight years ago. Had Vince pulled her in then, or was she always this cold? Chapter 6. The Devil's Confession. Marcus confronted Elena at gunpoint, ledger and Glock on the table. She laughed, a hollow, broken sound, then sobbed. "Vince is my cousin," she said. "Dad's side kept it from you. We ran scams as kids. After he went to jail, I swore I'd quit, but he came back last year drowning in debt. Edie's his attack dog. They forced me to kill or be killed." She admitted murdering L.K., a dealer who'd crossed Vince, starting her spiral. The ledger tracked profits and hits. The cash was her cut. "I didn't want you dead," she pleaded. Marcus saw only lies. He called Jake. "It's time." Chapter 7. The Reapers fool Marcus and Jake set a trap. They fed Eddie a fake tip through a street dealer. Elena was turning state's evidence. That night, the mill buzzed with rage. Vince roared at Elena. Eddie paced, knife out. Marcus and Jake recorded it all. Vince admitting kills, Eddie bragging about The feds, tipped by Jake, stormed in, guns blazing. Eddie shot first, killing a cop. Return fire cut him down. Vince charged, taking 3 bullets to the chest. Elena screamed as cuffs snapped on, her ledger seized. The basement yielded 6 corpses, $250,000 in cash, and meth bricks, Russ Crew's empire. Elena's prints tied her to 2 murders. Her testimony couldn't save her. Chapter 8. The hollow end. Elena got life without parole. LK's blood sealed her fate. Vince and Eddie bled out on the mill floor, their reign over. Marcus didn't stay for the trial. He torched the shack, sold his rig, and disappeared into the Rust Belt, a shell of a man. Epilogue. A ledger closed. Rust Hollow rumbled on, its factories silent witnesses to the carnage. Marcus drifted, haunted by Elena's laugh and the faces of the dead. She sent a prison note. Apologies, regrets. He burned it over a campfire. Some debts, he knew, were paid only in crimson ink.